So it's been a bit since I last uploaded, but I thought we would check out this interview by Jimmy Kimmel of President Joe Biden and just take a look at it. We're just going to get right into it. No need for useless uh, commentary.
Our very special guest.
Going to skip ahead some.
Thank you for coming, sir.
Too loud.
An honor to have you here. A pleasure to have you here.
Good to be here, man.
Now you know he is here tonight. Your granddaughter is here tonight. Hello. How nice that the First Lady came along.
Oh, she did. She just made the commencement speech at Los Angeles Community College.
Yes.
Oh,
By the way, I'm
nice.
Jill Biden's husband. She's right.
Oh my god. Oh my. Typical Sleepy Joe acting like his typical self.
Welcome. It's wonderful to have you here.
Good to be back, Jimmy.
It's
I thought
good to-
maybe you wanted me to just stay on Fox all the time.
You know, they're very concerned that I might not ask you serious questions, so I don't want
They really ask serious questions.
Yeah, right.
Pound.
I don't want to upset them at all. Do you mind if I ask you some serious questions? Because this is,
Not at all.
unfortunately,
Not at all. I never mind.
Yeah, we should be asking the President of the United States, the person in power, serious questions. But it doesn't mean they will.
Having a conversation with someone really smart.
CNN doesn't want to criticize Joe Biden at all because that's where they get funding from. And anything to keep Americans' mindsets on either corporate Republicans or corporate Democrats. That's what the mainstream wants.
Smart.
well, Guillermo, maybe you need to take over.
No, but I'm happy.
Was gun violence. And we were here in September of 2019, and one of the things we talked about at length was gun violence. And you said that we need to do something about this gun violence, particularly when it comes to our schools. And here we are, a couple years later. We're halfway through this year already.
Okay, my thoughts on guns. I personally think they should be banned, but what really needs to be done about guns, what the American people would agree to, is basic gun reform like background checks, banning large capacity magazines, anything shy from gun confiscation, banning of the selling, manufacturing, etc. of assault weapons. Semi-automatic rifles is the actual term, but most people that talk about this, except for gun owners, don't really understand. They just call them assault rifles. I do not happen to own a gun, but another popular reform, raising the gun age to 21. There are several, and it passed the House, and I heard talks that Republicans are actually most likely to vote for this, which is it's a really good thing, I think.
There have been, 27 shootings at schools? I guess, just to get into it, why haven't we done anything about this?
Because of corporate money. That's money controls everything. If we get corporate money out of politics, the demands of the American people will be met.
Well, I think a lot of it's intimidation by the enemy.
And also just totally just stop with corporate media like Fox News or CNN or MSNBC, NBC, all of it. It's all just capitalist propaganda trying to keep Americans right wing.
NRA and look, this is
Trying to distract them with culture war issues. Both sides do this. Fox News with conservative values and how they're trying to ruin the American dream, the socialist left. Liberals aren't left, but I mean, Fox News hates us socialists as well. CNN hates us socialists as well. They're trying to ban progressives from their shows, so even Fox News hasn't went that far. They recently had a socialist candidate for New York Congress on recently, which props to Fox News. That's respect, but yeah, so it's all they're both both of the news. What CNN does is just distract with like Pride Month, push things like that. Black Lives Matter when the the actual organization for Black Lives Matter was using its donations in order to help the founders of the organization. And yeah, they were capitalizing off of people who are really concerned about police brutality. If you're really concerned about police brutality, you'll vote for people that are wanting to, like, things like defund the police, abolish police forces, and replace them with community responders. Now, when I was last on here, I did not support things like that, but my mindset has shifted more towards the left. I do social issues. I'm more moderate on, but like economic and issues like that, I'm a lot more libertarian. I feel like defunding, abolishing the police is more of a libertarian stance. It's most certainly not an authoritarian stance. So let's continue. And by the way, Joe Biden is not for defunding the police. He actually used COVID relief funds in order to better fund the police and push for militarization of the police, getting them armed vehicles and such.
Not your father's Republican Party. This is a MAGA party. It's a very different Republican Party.
Using the same dog whistling, virtue signaling lines, I couldn't give two craps about the Republican Party. Everybody knows they're partisan hacks, just like the corporate Democrats are. Both parties are destroying this country, and if we don't move towards more to better parties and elect uh, grassroots middle class candidates, people the not the ultra rich, then we're just giving this country over to corporate power and centralized globalist power. That's what we're doing, essentially.
And, uh, and so you find people who are worried, I believe, that if they vote for rational gun policy, they're going to be primaried, and they're going to lose in a hard right Republican primary.
Is that your take?
I'm not even sure what he's trying to say there. He acts like he's very much against conservatives and Republican Party. Then he'll hype up Mitch McConnell like, "Oh, this guy's so rational. This guy's so good. So honest." None of those are true, by the way. If you even lots of people see right through Mitch McConnell. A lot of Republicans actually see right through Mitch McConnell. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that's what I've heard. But Mitch McConnell, if this is just his old way of thinking, yeah, the uh, the corrupt and the good guys in politics, as long as if they get along, things would get done. No, you cannot get along with corruption. If he would call out the corruption in his party and he would actually push against the corruption, he would actually be a good president. But no, he is part of the corruption. He's a puppet. He's basically Kamala Harris's puppet. She controls everything he does, and if he gets impeached, which I would love if he got impeached, we need someone who's actually left wing in power. But if he got impeached, then I I would hope it would be for reasons like getting too involved in the Ukraine war, borderline World War III, and also I would not like it because Kamala Harris would take every terrible thing Joe Biden's doing and make it far worse. Far worse. She'll pour money into police departments. She'll probably declare war on Russia. She'll crack down on crime uh, because she is not for rehabilitation, but she is for punishment, and she will just send more immigrants, lock them in cages, things like that. She Joe Biden's bad. He's pretty bad, but Kamala Harris is far worse. We can't let her get in power.
Think when you speak to these guys and women behind the scenes that they are, is there any honesty? Do they acknowledge that they would like to do something?
Well, I think many of them do. You know, I get in trouble for saying this, but I get on. We have very different views on a lot of things, but I've always had a straight relationship with the majority, with the Republican leader, Mitch McConnell. You know, he's a guy.
Oh my God. Um, yeah, you do because you both have the same ideas when it comes to corporations and money. You both get funded lobbied by the same corporations. This is why you work hand in hand. This is why you have good relationship with it. You're the kind of Democrat that is work across party lines, work with the enemies. I mean, the Democratic Party. Don't get me wrong; they are our enemies, except for the progressive grassroots funded by the middle class and and the grassroots middle class uh, elected officials of the Democratic Party. And I would love to see more Green Party, more socialists in there. Hope Democratic Socialists of America, I think, is making a big impact on New York, and I think that's a good thing. Democratically, of course, I don't want like a revolution or whatever, but I want the American people to be more influenced by middle class politicians who are not just some puppet for the rich elite.
That when he says something, he means it. I disagree with a lot of what he says,
Uh, Mitch McConnell does not mean anything he says. Partisan hack is what he is.
but he means it. There are a number of
Like when he said we can't confirm a Supreme Court justice with a year left,
That's
and
right.
then said the
Well,
opposite.
well,
Yeah, I like how he's pointing that out, but Jimmy Kimmel he's part of the establishment as well. He he's just another puppet for the capitalist model. What he is, that's what all these mainstream talk hosts are. They're funded by the same people as Fox News or CNN or whatever.
you know what he did. I mean, look, he's a leader of a party that's moved very hard right, and
Republican Party ain't as far right as you are trying to claim it is. It's not much different than it's ever been. They're just more, they just can get by with a lot more nowadays. They're just more explicit about the things they do because the corruption in the Democratic Party, they don't push back against it. The Democratic Party, they won't do literally nothing. They won't try to fight against the Republican Party's corruption because the Democratic Party are corrupt themselves. But we can blame Bill Clinton for this. His third wave politics is what brought the Democratic Party further to the right, or some would argue to the right. I don't know too much about older day politics to say if the Democratic Party was ever left wing. I mean, the only true left wing president I know we've ever had, and he wasn't very far left, was Franklin D. Roosevelt. He's the only true leftist president we've ever had. Barack Obama, he's right. He is not. He's hardly any different from the Republican Party. He did a lot of Obamacare. It's just a conservative. It's just a conservative insurance thing. It's just to make more profit for the insurance companies and things like that. It's nothing but a scam. If you really want to lower Medicare prices and things like that, Medicare for All is what you'd support. Socialized medicine and healthcare, make it free for the public. That's what you do. But no, he just it just keeps Medicare just keeps getting more and more privatized every president we get. Let's continue.
And so, in order to get anything done, he has a different problem than he did early on, before Trump became president.
It seems like maybe the party has moved hard right, but I don't know that the people have moved hard right. Because
no, most of the American people are not even right wing. Most of the American people are in the center of right and left. They're not left wing either. Well, some of them are more like social democracy. For social democracy, basically a capitalist government with like socialist policies and things like that. Like free health care, things like that. Well, technically socialized health care. A lot of Americans support, basically, but most Americans are in the center. Most people I've talked to are actually in the center. They're not for all these crazy right-wing ideas, liberal, conservative ideas. I mean, socially, I'm talking about economically. They're in the center. Now, I'm sure a lot of, excuse me, sorry. Yeah, there are probably quite a bit of conservatives, probably quite a bit of liberals, socially, social conservatives, social liberals, like for example, social conservatives believe in traditional family, what have you, but like conservative uh, economically conservative would refer to more like capitalism and unregulated capitalism, free markets, things like that. That's what the neoliberals support too. They're real big on no government intervention in the economy. So
people overwhelmingly believe we should have serious background checks. They overwhelmingly believe
Look,
Joe Biden acting like he doing something. He ain't even calling out the people that will not vote on this. Yeah, it's foolish. Background checks. I think the new poll around background checks was like 92% of the country, and that's pretty clear sign that you should pass background checks. You're supposed to represent the American people. You're supposed to represent those who supposedly have voted for you. I say supposedly, not because I think Trump won. I say supposedly because there's a lot of lobbying, corporate money interest. A lot of that corporate money goes to him, and he takes that money and puts it on like CNN, MSNBC, gets interviews, and puts ads on there to push as him the better candidate. A lot of that money goes to lobbying CNN to make them support Joe Biden, but to keep the neoliberals in power, the capitalist neoliberals in power. They take take a step back from this for a second. In 2020, the Democratic Party, the establishment Democrats, they dropped out in order for all the votes to go to Joe Biden. All the rest of the corporate Democrats dropped out to so that Bernie Sanders would lose, because the people who would have voted for the other corporate Democrats would then just voted for Joe Biden, and Joe Biden would get way more votes than Bernie Sanders because they do not want a change to the status quo. Let's continue.
Jimmy, you may remember the last time we did something serious about guns was when I passed the assault weapons ban. I was the guy that sponsored that, got it
I seriously doubt he had much influence in that.
passed, limiting the number of bullets that could be in a magazine, whole background checks, a whole range of things. And we
He probably didn't have that much to do with it.
passed, and violent crime and gun crime dropped off. But I could only get it passed for 10 years. It had to be reauthorized. And when the first Bush administration came along, they didn't reauthorize it. We didn't have the votes. And so what happened was, all of a sudden it came back. You could own assault weapons again. And guess what? Crime went up significantly, 3 times. I mean, so...
Yes, there's a lot of mass shootings, but crime is at a steady rate. It's not going up as the mainstream media would like to pretend. We've had mass shootings. We've had way more mass shootings than most other countries. I'll say most, not any. It's not the word you use. Like Canada, I think they had between 2009, I believe was the year this data was comprised, between like 2018, there was like 2 gun deaths, whereas the United States like 298 or some number. I need to update the statistics. I get so annoyed when these statistics are outdated by this many years. We need new statistics about this kind of stuff. This is important stuff.
So there is a direct correlation between the kinds of weapons that can be had. Look, I met with every single family member of all those kids who were killed and the teachers
Yeah, right. If you did, it was a PR stunt.
killed out in
Probably trying to look good for 2022 midterms so Democrats won't lose as badly as they inevitably will, because their lack of because he just won't do anything. His ratings were up when sorry, that's my computer making noise. Got a notification. But his ratings were up when the child tax credits were in place. People were getting a check each month. But as soon as that goes away, his ratings go down. I mean, of course they will. Because you're not helping the American people, you're helping the corporations. Right now, he's helping the military-industrial complex and the weapons industry by selling weapons to Ukraine and tightening our tensions with Russia. Warmongering as he is, this man cannot remain in power saying things like that. He's just trying to get us nuked. What he wants is war because he gets funded by the military-industrial complex and he has to satisfy their demand. This is why they helped elect him.
down in Uvalde, Texas. And they...
Oh, and also his promise to pull out, to not be so involved in the Yemen war and not be help with Saudi Arabia as they commit human rights abuses. But no, Biden's a hypocrite. He just more oil. He sees an opportunity for more oil, so he's going to be friends with Saudi Arabia.
They stayed with me for almost 4 hours, over 200 of them, meaning family and extended family. And the stories they told and the pain.
I'm skipping ahead. I don't care. Just going on. Oh, look, I'm just an innocent old man who actually cares. I'm not corrupt.
In the United States sit with those families?
Well, the answer is
I'm going to speed it up because this is going to take centuries.
I think we should make the demand. Here's what has to happen. All of you folks, and I hope, and I'm not being facetious when I say this, hope the Republicans are as well. You got to make sure that this becomes a voting issue. It's got to be one of the.
Oh, we got to make sure we do our part. You're the one in power. You're the one who got the power. You're the one who wanted this job, even though you're very clearly not capable to handle this job. You wanted to take a chance away from Bernie Sanders. You got the power now. It falls on you. You're the one who's supposed to deliver for the people. You're the president of the United States. You can't expect the voters to be the ones uh, doing this. I mean, yeah, we can help. We can email our senators, which I urge people to do. Our representative senators. I emailed Thomas Macy, representative of my district in Kentucky. Emailed Rand Paul, our senator, my majority leader senator, and Mitch McConnell, our minority leader. But regarding gun reform, that's what emailed them about. But yeah, we can take part like that and put pressure on their necks peacefully. Of course, what I mean is just you're going to do this or you're going to get ousted out, and we're going to put someone who actually cares about our values. That's what I mean. I mean democratically, of course. But Joe Biden is the president of the United States. If he really wants this done, he push for executive order or put pressure on their necks, call out all the corporate Democrats who are against this, and uh, corporate Democrats are not really much against this. It's more Republicans this time because corporate Democrats are not usually funded by the gun lobby. I mean, NRA really does not make donations anymore because of a lawsuit in 2018, I believe it was. It'd be disingenuous to say that they're still funded by the NRA, but they still got mass influence on that. So let's continue.
Those issues where you decide your position on the issue, senator or candidate for House or Senate, on what we're going to do on us with assault weapons and how maybe they'll have 300 rounds in a magazine. And I mean, what you say on those things is going to determine how I'm going to vote for you. It should be one of those issues.
You're right. It is our fault that people in the House and Congress can take responsibility for it, but it is our fault because we need to stop this. We need to do it.
Well,
yeah, we need to stop voting for people like Joe Biden. What idiots voted for this old kook? Bernie is the one. The Bernie Bros, they shouldn't have voted. Once Bernie lost the primaries due to the Democrats' corruption, they should not have voted. They should not have voted for this dude. I mean, he'd probably still beat Trump. I don't think the Bernie Bros contributed that much to it, but the left should not have voted for Joe. But that's just my thoughts. Shouldn't have voted for Joe. I won't be voting for Joe, even if he makes primary. If Kamala makes the primary, I won't be voting for her either.
we did last time, as I said, and it expired in 2004.
Can't you issue an executive order? Trump passed those out like Halloween candy.
Yes, sir.
I did. Isn't that something that could happen?
Well, I have issued executive.
Yeah, like I said, issue an executive order. Of course, he won't because he's cowards, afraid to upset the Republicans because they're his friends, apparently.
Orders within the power of the presidency to be able to deal with everything having to do with guns, gun ownership, whether or not you have to have a waiting, all the things are within my power. But what I don't want to do, and I'm not being facetious, I don't want to emulate Trump's abuse of the Constitution and constitutional authority. And so.
Stop pretending to be a nice guy. Act how you truly are. What you are is just a hypocrite and a liar. And hopefully you are ousted out and Bernie can get in maybe not Bernie, though, because Joe Biden runs again. Bernie doesn't have plans to run again. I mean, he's getting up there. I really don't blame him, but I'll take Bernie at 100 over any of the other options. I mean, AOC, I really don't like our chance of AOC because she's not near as influential or is not near as experienced as Bernie Sanders, and also she's kind of she won't focus on the important issues like healthcare. She's more focused on terms like Latinx or stuff like that. We're the left. We're not liberals. We shouldn't be focused on that. We should be worried about Medicare for all. We should be worried about inflation and gas prices and come up with an actual solution. If the left can propose a solution for inflation and gas prices, like for gas prices, nationalize the energy sector, if they push for this and they call out the corporate Democrats, fight against the Republicans, and we could actually make change. But they're not going to do this because, hate to say this, but AOC is pretty cowardly. She did call out corporate Democrats recently, but I wish she'd do it more. I wish Bernie would do it more too. Bernie just tries to be this nice guy, try to influence Joe Biden to change his mind from neoliberal politics. Bernie needs to be more aggressive.
And I mean that sincerely, because I often get asked, look, the Republicans don't play it square. Why do you play it square?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? If we do the same thing they do, our democracy will literally be in jeopardy.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
not a joke. And
I understand that argument, but also it's like you're playing.
It's like IOC said, no matter my criticisms of her, our democracy is an oligarchy. Corporations lobby politicians. Corporations have the most democratic power, more than the American people. Our government should be representing the American people, not corporations.
Playing Monopoly with somebody who, won't pass go and won't follow any of the rules, and how do you ever make any progress if they're not following the rules?
we got to send them to jail.
Yeah. All the system cares about is compliance. They want you to follow the rules. You're not following the rules, following the status quo, you get ousted out. Just look at what the corporate Democrats, the establishment Democrats are doing to progressives. Yeah, in the Senate, they're getting their corporate, they have these PACs, these the American Israel PAC, I forget what's APAC. Yeah, that's what it's called. But they have all these PACs, the corporation PACs, that back these corporate Democrats in order to oust progressive candidates, the socialists and whatnot. Because the progressives question the status quo, they go against the status quo. And corporate Democrats fear that because one thing they love most is money and power. And and another good thing we could do is lower the salaries. I would argue we should make the governmental positions minimum wage, maybe $7.25 an hour. Like they've kept our minimum wage since 2009. That is 13 years. We've had the same minimum wage. Maybe not necessarily 13, it might be 12, depending on the date that that minimum wage was set. I'm not aware of that. I just know the year it was set. Let's continue.
There's that little box in there.
Directly to jail.
Go directly to jail.
The president is with us, Joseph Biden. We'll be right back to talk more. We're back with President Biden, and the First Lady is with us, too, here in Hollywood. Will you
And my granddaughter.
And your granddaughter is here. The family is here.
And her fiance.
I'm surprised he knows who his granddaughter is.
Fiance?
Yeah, it's my daughter's birthday.
Oh, how about that? Happy birthday.
Probably not so.
Happy birthday, baby.
Does somebody have to remind you of all that stuff, with all this craziness going on?
No.
Probably.
My dad used to have an expression: family is the beginning, the middle, and the end.
I think a lot of Democrats are frustrated because, we got out and voted. We won the House, the Senate, the White House, obviously, and still.
The reason is the people they got in were corporate Democrats or conservative, referring to Joe Manchin. But these are corporate Democrats. They're going to represent the corporations. We need to vote for grassroots, middle class candidates. If we want them to, if we can't be voting rich people in that got their stocks and all these corporations and get all this lobbying money. We got to vote people that are grassroots, alike, that are funded by the middle class.
We have made very little progress, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to guns, obviously, reproductive rights, voting rights, climate change.
Reproductive rights, the Democrats don't give a crap about that because Nancy Pelosi, for example, voted a pro-life Democrat. I mean, not voted, endorsed a pro-life Democrat, which is just, you're just going against everything you believe in. You're going against bodily autonomy. If you believe that, it's hypocritical to support. She just did it because she wants a corporate Democrat in. Challenging the progressives, what she's trying to do. Wants to challenge the progressive in order to keep the status quo functioning as it currently does.
All these things, and in some ways, we've moved backwards.
Well, in climate change, we've actually made some real moves. I mean, we have,
What moves? Climate change? What you did was issue more oil permits, Joe. What about the Green New Deal? We should have it, and not just some watered-down conservative version of the Green New Deal. We need environmental regulations on corporations. We need to tax carbon emissions, invest in more electric cars, make them more efficient, make them cheaper. Need to invest in cleaner energy. Look into nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is could potentially be a very good renewable energy source.
1 in 7 of all the changes that have taken place in terms of solar, wind, and wind pumps, pumps.
Again, nuclear. We need to look into nuclear power. Nuclear energy. And nationalize the energy sector. And give every American should have access to water for free. Access to water, electricity, etc. Gasoline. Eventually move away from it once we have reliable electric cars. Maybe eventually subsidize the American people to get an electric car, or I don't know if we could actually give each American electric cars. These large multinational corporations, that own just about everything in the country. For example, General Motors owns GMC, Chevrolet, if I'm not mistaken, Chrysler. I'm not sure if they own Dodge, but they own several car companies. And we need to break up multinational corporations. The government needs to break everyone up, every multinational corporation up, allow for more competition in the that would be for the corporations that remain privatized. I think some corporations should be publicized, leave some privatized, but have strict government regulation on them, because common sense would tell you this. But let's continue.
something like have occurred in the last 18 months. We've moved, and there's an opportunity with the process we have dealing with energy to be able to gradually move more rapidly than we have been to alternatives. For example, electric vehicles. Jimmy, when I got elected, I've pushed electric vehicles for the last, I don't know, God knows how long. Well, I had a conversation with the chairman of the board of General Motors, Mary Berry, and she was suing California, remember, and because your standard was too high. She
Right.
said, well, guess what? We had a conversation. I got a call from her about 4 days later. She dropped the suit and committed she's going to go all electric in the entire General Motors line, and by 2030, going 50% electric.
I think that's good, but another thing we need to worry about is like the chips for electric cars. We need to start mining for more lithium and whatever else makes the chips. I'm aware that lithium does. I forget the other ingredients. I'm more for economics rather than how to make an electric chip. I'm sorry I don't know everything. At least I'm honest enough to admit it. But yeah, it would create jobs in America. Of course, we don't need to be subsidizing corporations. We don't need to be giving them bailouts of billions of dollars. And if we ever do, there should be guardrails in order for them to spend that money for what they should be spending that money for. And if there's a corporation that you need to give money to subsidize, that you actually need to subsidize in order for them to do something, the industry should be just nationalized. So let's continue.
Well, no, but it really is. And then Ford came along and did the same thing. So we're on a path, and what is the successor to Chrysler is doing the same thing. We're moving in directions that are being slow. Look, we won. I got 81 million votes, more than anybody's ever gotten. And thank you for those who helped me. But
yeah, because so you got the mail-in ballots. More people voted than they did in previous elections because they just wanted Trump out. People that didn't know anything about politics. That's why you should be required to take a political quiz to show a basic understanding of politics before you attempt to vote. And yeah, there should be a quiz. We also need to abolish the electoral college and switch to ranked choice voting nationwide. Because ranked choice voting is not just like ranked choice voting, it ranks your top five, each voter's top five favorite candidates. And for example, mine would probably be 1, Bernie Sanders, 2, Elizabeth Warren, 3, AOC. Would AOC be 3? I'm not sure. 4, Andrew Yang, maybe. I wouldn't really vote for Andrew Yang, though. And 5, Howie Hawkins. But yeah, that's probably my top 5. Maybe possibly interchangeable. Maybe put Howie Hawkins at 4 and 5, Andrew Yang. But Andrew Yang more because he is for actually uniting the American people against the establishment. He's not really as far left as I would hope he would be, but I still think he'd be better than 3/4 of the people we've got.
but what's happened, Jimmy, is we still only ended up with 50 senators, which means that we have 50 presidents.
And 2 of them are kind of iffy, I think, at best.
Here's the thing that's interesting. One of the things that's causing problems is that people think it's the Democratic Party that's so divided. And the problem is we have 48 out of 50 senators vote with me 95% of the time, more than any president.
Most of the Democratic Party is very on board with you because they're corporate Democrats. Joe Manchin is just a conservative. He basically should be a Republican at this point, but Kirsten Sinema I don't really know about her or Tulsi Gabbard.
Has gotten that kind of support from their constituency. But we only have 50. And you can't get even 2, 3, 4 Republicans to vote. Look what's happening now with regard to everything from the way they talk about this potential decision
Something you could do, get rid of the filibuster.
from the Supreme Court. I mean, it's awful.
What do we do about that? I mean, what do we do? And what do you say to Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema? What do you say to them when you get them on the telephone?
Well, what I say to them is, and by the way, they agree on a lot of these proposals relating to everything from.
No, they don't. They just want to water down everything and make it just get basically hedge funds for large multinational corporations to help those that help them.
From choice all the way to.
I would hope so.
Well, yeah, I know, but it's not like they are there 80% of the time. The place that they're not there is Joe's not there on a lot of things having to do with the climate and the environment because he comes from a cold country and he has a different view. And Kristen is not.
Because he's lobbied by the coal industry.
Not always there in terms of the tax policies. Look, here's where we are. We have the fastest growing economy in the world. The world.
All that's about is just the rich and the corporations. All that helps. It does not help the American people, no matter how good the economy is. It's just going to help the rich.
We have 8.6 million new jobs just since I got in office. Unemployment rate's down to 3.6%. We reduced the deficit last year by $320 billion. This year, we're going to reduce it by $1.7 trillion.
Right.
Yeah, you see, he's just worried about third way politics. He should be worried about creating a social safety net for the American people, the working class, giving the working class. I push for like workplace democracy, things like that. Workers owning the means of production in jobs that are not like stuff that are in jobs that where the products are not like it's I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say. That are not directly affecting the American people. Like housing should be free, land should be free, food. Of course, it's not technically free because taxes go into it. But if you really want to reduce the deficit, you would decrease military spending. I would say defund the military entirely, and stop getting involved in foreign countries, stop selling weapons, stop sending our troops, all of that. Reduce the defense budget and take our troops out of like Syria, Iraq, out of it. Well, I don't know if we currently have troops in Israel, but we do support them and aid them. Cut all support and aid for Israel. Something we definitely need to do because they violate human rights, killing Palestinians for their religion, which is unconstitutional in America.
And so we're the strongest economy, and that's allowed us at least to stay on top of and a little bit ahead of what's happening around the world. Second thing is, look, inflation is the bane of our existence. Inflation is mostly in food and in gasoline.
No crap. What you do is nationalize the energy sector for gasoline, and in food, you heavily regulate corporations and fix supply chain issues by putting tariffs on foreign products that are brought into the country, high tariffs, and bring jobs back into America, cut out the middleman, and it would be the prices be increased because you're not paying for a middleman, and also trucks drive long ways all throughout the country. That's gasoline, costs more. The farther it travels, the higher the value of the food will go up. And so that's what you do. Bring more jobs back into America, punish corporations from outsourcing jobs, and you would also heavily regulate the economy, preventing prices from going over a certain price, and then set a certain limit of how much percent inflation can rise, and then also split up multinational corporations in order to provide competition so prices go down even lower, because if there are several different options that are not all owned by the same company, then prices are going to be lower because they're going to be competing against each other to keep prices lower, so that the consumers will buy their product over their competitors.
Yeah.
At the pump.
That's what kills you, because it's a little billboard telling everyone how expensive everything is. If Donald Trump leaves one of those Sharpies over for you, you could maybe change the price on that, you know.
Bob, we could.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. You know, my dad used to say,
Yeah, we could, but no. How about we just let corporations screw over the American people by price gouging? Yeah, that's just fine. Let's not worry about that. I'm too busy worrying about the 2022 midterms and how we're going to just blame Trump for everything in order to win 2022 midterm elections. That's the spirit, Joe.
every family has a little bit of breathing room. If you take and look at all the costs that a family has on a monthly basis, it also includes health care, prescription drugs, child care, all those.
No crap. You're not going to do anything about it, you neoliberal, third way, corporate Democrat right winger. I know, just going on with a bunch of terms. At the end of the day, he's just the same side. He's just the other side of the Democratic Party is the same other side of the Republican Party. They're two sides of the same coin. Donald Trump and Joe Biden's two sides of the same coin. What I'm trying to say. That's the analogy I'm trying to put out there.
Things. What I'm proposing and I think we can get it done, I'm proposing that we, in fact, reduce the cost of those things. Why should anybody of you in the audience know anybody who has to take insulin every month because they have type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes?
Here's an idea. Pass Medicare for all, socialize healthcare and medicine, single-payer insurance, and there we go. Just nationalized healthcare. I mean, a lot of these words just mean the same thing. Nationalize, socialize, whatever. I'm just using several different words. But bottom line is make healthcare free and make it paid through taxes and not raise taxes on the poor people. I'm not supportive of that. We need to implement a wealth tax that will go towards the rich's stocks. That's a lot of the ways that the rich people avoid taxes is because of the stocks they hold. Raise taxes on corporations, prevent bank accounts, offshore bank accounts, eliminate all loopholes, tax shareholders of corporations. There's a lot of things we could do. Land tax, I have been convinced by fellow YouTuber historian Mr. Beat. I've been convinced of a land tax. Excise taxes I'm fine with, because legal tax, I mean, decriminalize, legalize, and tax marijuana. You could do that. That would be more money into the economy. But that's not what. Yeah, that'd be generate more money in the economy, go towards healthcare, and there you go. Reduce the military budget. A lot of things you could do, but no one's willing to propose solutions. Neither side, well, they're really the same side, just neither portions of the same side are willing to propose solutions.
Well, guess what? They're charging as high as $1,000 a month in some places, average $647 a month.
But what are you going to do about it? You're the one who has the power,
on average. Well, if I pass what I want to get done, which we can do,
supposedly.
we can do it relatively easy. It's not going to cost more than $35 a month. It costs these companies. No, I'm not. This is not, as our friends on Fox would say, socialism. This is very practical. It costs $10 to make a vial. So charging $35 gives them, a significant profit.
It has a lot to do with outsourcing jobs. Outsourcing jobs just results in a middleman, prices raise. Also has to do with corporate greed. It has to do with insurance companies, which is also a middleman. That having the insurance companies just raises the prices because you gotta pay the insurance companies for this. So
They don't need, for example, our oil companies. Oil companies, instead of everybody says, well, Biden won't let them drill, they have 9,000 drilling sites that they've already owned that are there. They're not doing it. You know why? Because they make more money not drilling and buying back their own stock.
It's all.
that is true, but what are you going to do about it? Here's an idea: nationalize the energy sector, and the government would have the power of oil drilling.
All screwed up, and that's the thing.
It is screwed up, but we are only a few votes away from being able to straighten it out. We have to get the message across in a way that is understandable to people like the folks in my family we grew up. Tell people just what the facts are. And the facts are that this isn't anything about, so this is about building the economy. When I ran, I said, I want to build a new economy. No more trickle down from the bottom up and the middle out, because when the middle does well, everybody does well. The wealthy do very, very well. The idea...
He's talking like a socialist, but every single policy he does is right wing.
There are 54 major corporations in America, made $40 billion.
By the way, he's just taking a democratic socialist stance. I can see why people say he is a socialist. He is. Believe me, he's not. All of this is just talk. Joe Biden's an absolute hypocrite. He's no different Donald Trump, no different from Barack Obama, no different George W. Bush, no different from Bill Clinton.
Dollars last year and don't pay a penny in taxes. Not a penny. How many think the tax code is fair anywhere along the line here? No, I'm not being facetious now. I'm being deadly earnest. They don't pay a penny. So if we had a minimum tax of 15%.
Raising the taxes is not going to work for the rich. What you've got to do is implement a wealth tax to target their stocks, which will tax how much stocks they have, therefore making them pay taxes. That's how they evade taxes.
Just minimum 15. It doesn't hurt them at all. They make a lot of money still, and we can raise a lot of money to make sure that child care doesn't cost you $1,400 a month. To make sure.
But this all makes perfect sense. And the fact that this makes sense is why it doesn't make sense and why it seems so crazy and that we have so many problems and that maybe it's just that Americans aren't as knowledgeable as they should be. Or maybe there's a death
That's one.
star pumping false information into our brains.
Fox, right?
That's two things, right? CNN too.
Right.
Or maybe it's always been this way. I mean, here in LA, a small fraction of people voted in the primary yesterday, and then everybody wants to complain about everything, and it's enough already. And I think you need to start yelling at people. Is really what I think.
Well, here's what I think. Look, think about this. Look what impact the pandemic has had on people. It has had enormous impact, negative
Full of crap.
impact. Think of just your kids. How many of them got to go to a prom? How many had a graduation that got celebrated? How much has changed in terms of the relationships between people and how they interact with one another? I mean, so much has changed. And we need, Vivek Murthy, the Surgeon General, talks about the need for significant mental health proposals relating to people who are feeling not knowing where they're going.
But what are you going to do about it? You're the president. You've got the power. If you're just going to sit here and talk like a socialist and then just act like the third way capitalist you truly are, the neoliberal you truly are, nothing's going to change. You won't regulate anything. You won't nationalize anything. You won't get at the core of these problems. You won't pressure the Senate. You won't pressure Congress. What are you going to do, Joe Biden? You're just going to sit there and act like, I've done nothing and I can't figure out what to do. I've tried nothing and I don't know what to do.
Oh, and not knowing how to respond, not knowing how to act. And so there's a lot we can do. But the bottom line is, I think that...
But the bottom line is you're not going to do it.
We've seen such a radical shift in one party. And the ability of that party to...
Republican Party is not the party that made the shift. The Democratic Party made the shift in, I think, if I remember correctly, it was during Bill Clinton's presidency. Thanks a lot, third way Bill. But the shift went from semi left wing. I don't know if it was full left wing. They were more in support of unions and things. But the shift went to them going towards right wing policies, neoliberal politics, third way politics.
Minority of the MAGA folks.
It's like we're living in two countries at once.
Yeah, and
it's
so,
like you can be.
But I've never been more optimistic in my life. So I'll tell you why.
Why are you so optimistic?
No,
it makes no sense.
No, it does. Look at the kids. Look at the young people.
I'm optimistic about this Democratic Socialists. Just look what the DSA is doing in New York. Come on. Socialism, Democratic Socialism for New York.
Educated, least prejudiced, most giving generation in American history. Turn on the television. You turn on. No, I'm serious.
There's something to that. Yeah.
No, but I'm serious. You turn on the TV. Look at the ads. When's the last time you saw biracial couples on TV? When's the last?
What is wrong with you? This is corporations' way to exploit. It's just exploitation. They get more money this way. And besides, this is the problem I have with diversity and like TV shows and things, because they never know how to do it right. Loud actually did it right with the LGBT representation, but the new Buzz Lightyear movie, I think it's supposed to have a LGBT kissing scene, which you know right off the bat is just going to be really cringe and just totally out of place.
Last time you saw the way, I mean, people are selling products, they do ads to sell products, and they sell products when people,
It's called capitalism.
Appeal to people. This generation is going to change everything. We just got to make sure we don't give up. There's an ability for us to do everything from increase the access to education, healthcare. Look what we did in healthcare. All the talk.
You didn't do anything in healthcare. Quit doing nothing and then taking credit for absolutely nothing. Pretend you actually did something. You ain't done nothing except for be a complete hypocrite and do the opposite of what you've been saying this entire time. You ought to be impeached.
About it. I was able to reduce people's bills about $400 a month.
It has changed people's lives for the better. No question
so there's a lot of major.
Yeah, and then it just goes away, and then you're like, I didn't do nothing to save it, but I don't know what to do now. That's like Joe Biden's favorite thing to do. Won't do nothing, and then when the solution just don't fall into his lap, he's like, "What? It must be the Republicans." Or maybe it's because you won't try anything. You won't fight back. You prefer just you're part of the status quo. The truth is, you're just part of the status quo. You're just their right-wing puppet.
The things we've done. But what we haven't done is we haven't been able to communicate it in a way that is, let me say another way.
Well, see, that's kind of perfect. Yeah, we haven't been able to communicate it.
But look how the press has changed. Mm-hmm. Look how the press has changed.
It has changed. Oh, listen, I get it.
I know you overstand it. Yeah. You don't just understand it, you overstand it. But here's the deal. One of the things is that it's very difficult now to have even with notable exceptions, even the really good reporters, they have to get the number of clicks on nightly news. Mm-hmm. So instead of asking the question, anyway, it just everything gets sensationalized in ways that, but I'm convinced we can get through this. We have to get through it. And one of the things, look.
I'm going to take a break, and then we'll talk.
I don't think he's actually making a point there.
A little bit more, if you don't mind. I'm sorry. We have some of those commercials. We have some biracial commercials we need to show.
Yeah, we have to. These are people we're funded by, and this is why we support what we do.
With President Biden. We're back with the President of the United States. Just a process question. When you have sensitive documents that you need to flush down the toilet, you do that. Is that done in your office toilet, or is that done in the bathroom, in the personal bathroom area?
I call Trump.
Oh, brother.
I haven't. Everybody talks about, sensitive documents and the like. I don't destroy anything, but one of the things that I spent.
Yeah, right. I don't believe that.
More time with Xi Jinping than any other head of state. And I'd always be, when I traveled with him 17,000 miles, spent 78 hours with him, they tell me, all told. And I'd have a consecutive interpreter and he'd have one. And the difference between when I would do that and others would do it, I always handed in all my notes.
You got to hand in your notes.
Hand in my notes.
We learned that in school,
That's
theoretically.
Right. I don't believe him.
Roe versus Wade. Boy, these things just keep coming at you, don't they? I mean, there's no, you have.
Yeah, and he's not doing nothing about it. They keep coming at him because he's the president of the United States. This is his job. This is what he signed up for. Maybe don't sign up for something like this when you're 76 years old and have dementia.
I've not had an easier. What a terrible job you have. I mean, what? I'm glad you're doing it, but boy, oh boy, does this seem like a bad gig.
It's a. I think if the court overrules Roe v. Wade and does what it's drafted,
You'll do absolutely nothing about it.
Sure they will.
Well, if that occurs, I think we have to legislate it. We have to make sure we pass legislation making it a law that is the.
Isn't it too late if it's already overturned?
Federal government says this is how it works.
In another situation where most of the country is on.
You should be codifying it now. If you actually care, you'd be codifying it now. But no, you'll get too much scrutiny from the Republicans. They'll be like, baby killer, and you'll be like, oh, no, I never meant it to be this way. I'm sorry, Mitch McConnell.
On the same page. Something like 64% of Americans do not want to see Roe v. Wade overturned.
And it's just going to be the beginning, by the way. You know, there used to be a case called Connecticut versus.
Do something. Do anything that will help the American people. Stop sitting on your bum and saying you're going to do something and then do the total opposite. This isn't opposite day, President Joe. This isn't opposite term. You're the President of the United States. You have the power. Quit being a hypocrite. Quit being a liar. Quit pretending to be this socialist. But right now, he is actually pretending to be a socialist. And then saying he's not pretending to be. I don't understand what he's saying. More social democracy, because true socialism would mean the government owns everything. Government owns everything. Which, by the way, is not what I support. I support democratic socialism.
Versus Griswold.
Oh, I'm very familiar with it.
Well, you know, no, but all kidding aside.
Is that from the National Lampoon Vacation movie?
It is. But Connecticut versus Griswold said that you could not use contraception in the privacy of your own bedroom because in the Constitution there was no right to privacy. And so they could outlaw, and if you used contraception, it was against the law. You couldn't purchase contraception. And, you know.
By the way, that makes no sense. If the Constitution doesn't say something, doesn't that mean it's okay? You would think.
There's a whole range of things that are at stake here when we talk about eliminating Roe v. Wade and all the
same-sex marriage.
I mean, it's just ridiculous, in my view. And I don't think the country will stand for it, but I think what we're going to have to do, there's some executive orders I could employ.
Do it. You just admitted that you could implement executive orders. Do it before it's too late, you absolute retard. That's what you are. You're just a retard. You're a right-wing puppet. I've said it over and over in this video, so.
We believe we're looking at that right now. But I want to keep employing. But look, it's clear that if, in fact, the decision comes down the way it does and these states impose the limitations they're talking about, it's going to cause a mini revolution. They're going to vote a lot of these folks out of office. We got to keep it focused on if they overrule Roe v. Wade and the state, California won't do it, but other states say that you cannot do the following. It's a law. You can't cross the border. You can't all the things that some states have. And you got to make sure that you vote. You got to vote and let people know exactly what the devil you think, and we change it.
Yeah, we have to vote for people who are fighting for this country and not.
Yeah, vote for progressives. Get Joe Biden out of office. Bernie Sanders 2024.
Just reacting to these horrible things because we should have done something about gun violence a long time ago. The climate is something we could all look back at these days and go, oh my.
Nah, they'd rather raise NASA's budget to forget about forget about the Earth. Let's just go to Mars. We don't even have the technology to even go to Mars yet.
My God.
But we have made some progress there. There's 560,000, but it's moving. It's moving. My mother used to say, out of everything bad, something good will come if you look hard enough for it. So the reduction on the use of oil also increases.
Not if you don't do anything.
Increases the need to find alternatives.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And that's why I'm going over to.
Why you doing issuing more oil permits And also, why you begging other countries for oil when we got oil reserves in the United States that we don't even touch? We want to rely on Russia's oil or Ukraine's oil or Saudi Arabia's oil. Yet there's oil reserves in the United States we don't even touch.
The quote G7, the 7 largest economies in the world, and meeting in
Elite, just an elitist meeting for leaders to get together to talk about how they're going to globalize one world globalized centralized government that's under a capitalistic economy where corporations can own and control everything.
Germany in a couple weeks.
Well, we're looking hard for the good things, and we're glad you're looking hard for the good things too.
We can do this. This is
All right.
the United States of America. We can do it.
I hope you're
Does he probably still thinks he's a senator.
right. President Biden, everyone. Thank you, Mr. President. We'll be back with Jack Johnson. I am.
All right, that concludes this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Probably get a lot of hate comments. Then again, if you all watch an hour and 10-minute long video, I seriously doubt y'all will. But conclude this video. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to comment down below because I know you will on how much I'm a communist and I want you to own nothing. Truth about people's lives. I don't want the government involved in people's lives whatsoever. The gun thing, I don't think people should have a right to own a gun because guns kill. That's the only time the government should interfere is when death's involved. But I don't think we're near to the point where we can just ban guns from the United States. That's a thing for 100 years down the road. So, thank you for watching, comment, liking, subscribing, whatever. And I'll try to do some more videos in the future sometime. See you next one. Try not to kill each other in peace.